Hello and welcome everyone to this first poem of class 8 of your literature book, and the name of this poem is Uncle Dan. There will be a series of 3 videos to complete this poem. In this first video, we'll talk about the structure of the poem, about the poet and its summary. In the second video, we'll talk about the line-by-line explanation of the entire poem, and in the third video we'll discuss all the question answers which is given in the exercise, and then I will give you an assignment which you have to write in your notebook. So let us begin with about the poet of this poem. This poem has been written by Ted Hughes, was an English poet and children's writer who considered to be one of the best poet of his generation and one of the greatest writers of 20th century. He served as poet laureate from 1984 until his death. His most famous works appear in the poetry collection Birthday Letters, Tales from Ovid, Moortown Diary, and so on. So this was Ted Hughes, who has written this fantastic poem which is humorous and which is about a scientist. So let us know more about something about this poem. You have heard about scientists. You must have heard about Thomas Alva Edison. You must have heard about Alexander Graham Bell. You must have heard about Marie Curie. You must have heard about Einstein. And all these scientists, all those scientists have done something well in their lifetime, and they discovered something which is so much beneficial for the human being. So we must have seen that the light bulb, the printing press, the telephone, the computer, the radium, everything which has been discovered, which has been identified by those fantastic scientists, are so much useful in our lives. And because of that, we remember all those scientists. We read about them every day, and we come to know about more and more about their lives. So that was about the scientist who has done a good work. But in this poem, we are talking about a scientist, and his name is Uncle Dan. So this is Uncle Dan, and this is his den. Uncle Dan is a scientist who is working in his science lab all day, all night, and cooking up and making and inventing some of the greatest things which are useless. Those things are not of any use. You don't believe me? Just check these examples. Can you see this slide? Uncle Dan has discovered a stairs which is neither going up nor going down. He has discovered a saw without teeth to make sure the trees doesn't have any problem. He has discovered a pie which bite back if you want to bite it. He has discovered, or you can say he has invented, a window without glass. So what is the use of that window? He has invented a glass which is bottomless. So if there is a glass and it is not able to hold anything, what is the use of that glass? So these are the things which was invented by Uncle Dan. So now you are able to understand that which type of scientist Uncle Dan is and what his psyche is like. What he is thinking is just different from all the other scientists, and which is utterly useless. Now moving on, let's see the summary of this poem. In this poem, the poet talks about Uncle Dan, who loves to invent all kinds of unusual things. He says that people might think that his uncle is a brilliant inventor, but they do not realize that his inventions are not only unusual, but most of them are fairly useless. To prove this point, list a few of these inventions in the poem, including the unspillable screw down cup, a toothless saw, a glassless window, and so on. So now I hope you have a clear idea about that what is the poem like, who is Uncle Dan, and what is his hobby. So you must have understood that we are reading about a scientist who is useless. Thank you. Have a safe day.